Hello everyone and welcome to the Commexis Cast Daily, all the news you need to know from our inbox to yours. I'm Matthew McGroarty, the videographer and podcaster here at Commexis, and today I'm joined by the lead strategist at Commexis, Phillip.
Good morning.
So our first story for today, Axios' Sarah Fisher made a story about 1% of publishers initially will be affected by Chrome ad blocker. So Google has said recently that only 1% of publishers will be affected by their ad blocker update coming to Chrome on February 15th, which means that 99% of publishers will not be affected by the ad blocker, which is really probably one of the big things. So a lot of publishers were really worried when Chrome announced this a couple months ago. They were worried, am I going to have enough time to fix these? What if, et cetera, et cetera. So Google reviewed over 100,000 websites in North America and Europe since June as part of an ongoing audit of publisher ads to ensure they're compliant with the third-party industry standards. Those are set by the Coalition for Better Ads. And they found of the 100,000 sites surveyed, only 0.5% were at the warning level of potentially being blocked, and only 0.9% were at the failing level and would be blocked. And Google said that 37% of sites found in violation of the Coalition standard have already fixed their advertising issues. So a lot smaller than I expected.
Yeah.
But I think that's arguably a good thing. It means
I can see that there was a lot of, and us included, from the small bit of information that they were actually releasing, that we didn't really know, how many sites were being affected. But I can guarantee you that 99% of the sites being okay was not the answer that I would have considered. So I don't know. I guess is the question, does it go far enough? Mm-hmm. I think that, we're going to see in this next story that we're talking about some of what Google's using to determine some of these ranking factors. But as far as the ad blockers go, again, I kind of beat this into the ground. They're really just, sticking to their guns about improving user experience. So, if the ad blocking is really just only blocking 1% of sites, how much is that really affecting anyone?
I don't know. I think it sounds like maybe when the first warnings were coming out, people were going to begin sort of prepping, and now they're saying, only 1% are actually going to be harmfully affected. There's a couple other things that I'll bring up. So we talked about user experience. Some of the sites, for example, if you've ever been on Forbes, how before Forbes loads up, you get a nice little ad and a quote.
I hate that thing.
Yeah, well, many people do. So that is something that's actually going to be a violation of the terms. We have a quote from Scott Spencer, Director of Product Management for Sustainable Advertising at Google. He said, "There's a user experience issue online. If web experiences are annoying experiences, people will not want to search the web, and we make money on searching good user experiences." And that was in basically direct reply to things like the Chicago Tribune and Forums and their full screen ads that I also find quite annoying.
But what's weird is with Forbes, they don't even monetize it. It's just an ad for themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
You would think if they were going to do something with it, they'd at least put somebody else's ad on there. I don't even know what they're trying to do with that.
I don't know. So according to Google research, 1 in 5 Google Chrome feedback reports mentions annoying and unwanted ads, and there were 5+ billion mutes from people using Google's Mute This Ad feature in 2017. Just giving some explanation for why this is coming out. There are 3 common misconceptions that Fisher wanted to sort of clear up for people. Publishers aren't going to be punished for one bad ad. Publishers have a 7.5% non-compliance threshold before their ads will be blocked, and eventually that threshold is going to go down as time passes to about 2.5%. The ad blocker weighs ads by page views, so if you have a pop-up ad every time someone visits a page, it's much worse than if you use them sparingly, which, that makes a lot of sense to me. And then finally, house ads or promotional ads are not going to be included in the ad blocker, so you won't have to worry about those. And then finally, there are some sites that use hard walls or soft walls for ad blocking software already. So 30% of those sites have been whitelisted for the hard wall, which means you have to turn your ad blocker off to access them. And then 5 to 15% of sites have been whitelisted for the soft wall, which gives you an option. One of the things that's important about that is a lot of sites that use the "Hey, will you turn off the ad blocker when you visit our sites?" Actually, people found that more people are willing to turn it off than keep it on for those specific sites, and I think that's pretty fair. I know, I think it was CNBC does that, and for the most part, I just turn it off.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a site that you regularly go to that you trust, or and you think provides value, I can certainly see why you would be willing to do that, and I do the same thing. And I think it's interesting that that's kind of the quid pro quo for, all right, I appreciate your content, let me turn these ad blockers off. And the other thing is, once you kind of, the ad blocker is sort of a universally applied thing, you should exclude the sites that you actually utilize on a regular basis, because you want to reward them for providing content that you use.
Absolutely.
And if their ad experience isn't intrusive, or you find that something gets annoying, there's no reason why you shouldn't do that.
Absolutely. So our second story for today, Google has announced a Chrome extension called Chrome Lighthouse.
Yeah, so Google Lighthouse is an SEO extension that is for Google's web development platform. So it's essentially a very, very, very basic developer's extension to go over kind of what they've determined are the 10, in their mind, most important things that make a site ready to go and make a site ready for searching. It's by no means comprehensive, and it's not ranked in any sort of way to say that this is more important than anything else. And we do know anecdotally that there's lots of other factors that go into this, but this kind of gets you, ready to go. If you're building a site for yourself or your friends, and you're kind of at a basic level as a web developer, these are the things that absolutely have to be done before you send a site out the door, or you're going to have problems getting rankings. So just to go over, there's 10 of them, so I'm not going to take a long time to go through, but they've included a meta viewpoint element, so you can actually view all the meta tags on the site, a title element, a meta description element. These are all things that they want to have on the site, and I think if you know anything about basic SEO, you know that those are absolutely important. Successful HTTP status code, that's a little bit less than we would recommend. Again, we say, and Google recommends an HTTPS, so you do know that you need a secured certificate for, basically to get the highest sort of ranking. You will get ranked below sites that are secured. They've confirmed that in many other things, so I'm not sure why they didn't just go that route with it. Descriptive text for all linking, so remember that when you put a hyperlink inside copy, that there's a text, the link that tells the pop-up text tells you exactly what that's supposed to be going to, so people know where they're going. Again, that's a user experience issue, so people don't feel like they're getting catfished. The page is indexed, so make sure your pages aren't blocked from indexing. You may, while you're working on the site, have that feature turned off because you don't want it to be found before you're ready for anybody to see it. Make sure that you have valid hreflang information, so you want to make sure you pick the native language for the site itself. The canonical tags are all set up correctly, which means also the robots.txt is set up correctly. Here's an interesting one for user experience and design. Legible font sizes, so make sure that the fonts that you're using are legible, they're able to be read, and they're not too big or too small. And browser plugins, so make sure that you're being judicious with the use of browser plugins for the site itself. Make sure you're not getting too many of those, because again, not only are they annoying, but they can slow down the page load speeds, which we know is absolutely a ranking factor as well. And the takeaway from this is not so much that this is a particularly useful tool for somebody who's advanced in SEO, but it really does confirm what we've been saying all along, is that mobile first is the way to go when you're looking for how to build your site out. So all of these factors are absolutely geared towards a mobile-first experience, and just so keep that in mind, that this is really where we're going with Google, and when you're developing a new website, that mobile-first is the way that you're thinking.
Absolutely. And just to sort of finish off, they mentioned Google's mentioned in a post previously that this list is not going to be the full exhaustive list, and that in the future they're going to be adding some stuff and changing some things. So there's a chance that this plugin will become even better than the sort of basic form that it has right now. But Google, only time will tell.
Yeah, and just I forgot to mention this at the top of it, but this is found in Google's Webmaster Central tools, which so it used to be just Webmaster tools. So if you're looking for this plugin, it's there to download. And again, if you're developing websites, hopefully this stuff is already second nature to you. But if you're just getting started, it's a great way to a nice checklist to get, so you know that your site is ready to go.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for checking out today's Commexis Cast Daily. Check us out tomorrow for more of the latest trending news. Have a great day.
You the same.